Hey you guys, and welcome to my channel. In this video, we're going to talk about getting dumped. All right. This is the ending of a relationship. This is someone breaking up with you, basically. And we're going to address it from the standpoint of someone who seems to be the person that's perpetually getting dumped. Like you're the one that's getting dumped more than not. Or maybe you've gotten dumped and you're just like scratching your head and feeling confused about that. So in this video, I'm going to give you a suggestion of how you can lessen the chances of you getting dumped. Now, here's my disclosure. All right. Whether you are doing the dumping or it's the other person, it's okay. It's actually okay, guys. Because if someone wants to separate themselves from you, let them. The people that are supposed to be in your life will be in your life. Take a comfort in that. You know, I always call this the trash taking out themselves. Or if someone's doing this respectfully, okay, it's time for that chapter to end. But with every ending, there's a beginning. So whether you're the one getting dumped or doing the dumping, it's okay either way, guys. Take comfort in the universe. And especially if you are a good person, take comfort in knowing, hey, I did my best. That person just was not for me. That means there's someone else out there who's better for you. Okay? But we can take this dumping beyond romantic relationship. We can take this in business and careers. You know, we can take this with friendships. You know, friendships can end. So, you know, it goes beyond just romantic relationships. But classically, yeah, when people say the word dump, we're thinking about a romantic relationship coming to an end. All right. But there's a lot of reasons for especially a perpetually person who has, you know, seems to get dumped by everyone. Number one, you know, that may be playing on your psyche if you don't have a certain kind of perspective, you know, that I was just talking about. And where you see that most things in life are temporary anyway. Everything pretty much has an ending. All right. But then there's a beginning. And it's okay if things run its course. There's no sense in dragging things out. And that's what we're going to talk about here. Because the main reason why someone else or why you would be the one that's perpetually getting dumped is you're a person that's uncomfortable with endings. Chances are you're a person that's uncomfortable with endings. It's possible that you have some rejection issues or abandonment problems. It's possible that you need to learn how to view the lens, have the proper lens when you're in your relationships, your working relationships, whether they're personal or business. You know, like, wow, I had no idea they were going to fire me. You know, this is someone that may not be paying attention in their environment and seeing things for what and who they are. Now, I'm going to make another disclosure here. Yes, there are times when people just get ghosted. Yes, there are times when you've on your A game and they still let you go from that job. Those type of situations happen. Okay. And then that, you know, hey, that was fate right there. But that's okay. Because when one door closes, another one opens. And like I said, especially if you are sowing positive seeds, especially if you were being good and doing your best. Okay. But sometimes our best is toxic. Okay. Sometimes our best is toxic. Sometimes we don't have the emotional maturity to be able to see the clues and make a plan of action. All right. Sometimes that person mentally and psychologically broke up with you before they physically broke up with you. All right. But if you're operating out of codependency, where you're putting relationships on a throne, if you're operating out of people pleasing, if you need everybody in the world to like you, if you take every relationship as final, Okay? You're going to be closed-minded to endings, guys. Then what are you going to be doing? You're going to be holding on by a thread when the universe ends up screaming at you that it's over. It's not for your best interest. It's not good for you. It's screaming at you, but you're still holding on to it. And then what happens? Then they end up dumping you. Then you actually feel worse because you knew it wasn't good for you. And then if you have the rejection and abandonment issues, now you've added another layer of healing to the situation. So not only are the offenses and the things that weren't going right in the relationship, and then when we're talking about narcissistic abuse, it's all of the abuse, all right? Now it's the rejection and abandonment. Because when we drag things out, we're giving more opportunity for offenses. When we're dragging out things that weren't ordained to continue to stay in our life, but because of our own ignorance or because of our own resistance and denial and delusions and illusions, being passive aggressive, giving someone else the steering wheel when we know. Honestly, the narcissist 9 times out of 10 should not be able to discard anyone. Except for in those cases where they just ghosted you after a love bomb and you thought everything was all good and they just went ghost. There are those situations. But if that narcissist is love bombing, devaluing, let's start right there. Devaluing, now it's time for me to do the discarding. You're not going to keep devaluing me and bringing me down and now you're going to dump me? Are you kidding me? And I don't want that to sound egotistical because that's not the angle that I'm coming from here, guys. I'm coming from the angle of, hey, my self-worth, my self-value is sufficient. As soon as you are disrespecting me and devaluing me like that, are you kidding me? I'm going to go ahead and do that for you. I'm not going to be waiting around for you to end something that I'm going to end because you're not going to continue to treat me like that. But survivors, a lot of times we get muffled because we're thinking about the love bomb period. But we have to get the type of frame of mind when it's more like, what have you done for me lately? Okay, all right. You started out like this, but now you're acting like this. So you can't get confused by some good acts or good behaviors early on, but what have you progressed to? And because my emotional maturity lets me know that people typically are wearing a mask when I first meet them, more than not. And it takes a while to really get to know a person. So now I'm seeing the real you, chances are. Because, of course, there are exceptions to all rules, but even then, there's still something toxic going on underneath the surface. Let's say this person developed an addiction to alcohol or drugs. Of course, you're going to start seeing a shift and a change in this person's behaviors. It's going to become very toxic for your life. But it also doesn't mean that that's a battle for you to see through with them. Especially if they're in active addiction and they're not looking to stop. And especially if it's not your husband or wife, okay? You're just dating. But survivors and empaths and codependents are more than happy most of the time to crowd their plates, to burden themselves with other people's issues and problems. Because chances are the codependent and empath, they're running from themselves in their own right, just as a narcissist is. But I wanted to make this video, guys, about, people who are constantly getting dumped. Chances are, like I'm saying, the reason why is because you're not seeing the clues. You're minimizing them. You're turning a blind eye. You know why? Because more than not, it may be going against how you want to see that person or organization or whatever. It may be going against what you have in mind. And sometimes we're so bent on having things play out the way we want, even when it's not playing out that way, we're trying to force the issue and we're hitting our head up against the wall. All it does is put more time into the situation, and it's still not going to be fruitful. And guess what? The ending still happens. And then you're like, you know what? I should have ended it back then. My gut was telling me, the universe was screaming at me, but I wanted to be in my will. I wanted to do it my way. And I was going against myself. I put more time, effort, resource, energies into that situation. It was going to die. And I just dragged out death. I dragged out the death. So if you want to be in a situation where you're not the one that's, everybody else is seeing the ending before you. They're not only seeing it, they're acknowledging it, and they're acting on it. You have to become that person, just able to see the clues. You can't be nervous about that. You can't live your life out of fear. You can't be a person that's running from any type of confrontation. I don't want to break up with, they might get mad, or it might not be a pleasant moment. Okay, so the pleasant, I don't like hurting people, but you like hurting yourself by dragging this out. And you're comparing the moment or the conversation of the breakup, the text, the call, or whatever have you, with days, weeks, months, years of further abuse, of further toxicity, and things that are not working for you. That's when we step out of our emotions into our logic and we see how that is really not the way to go. Okay? That is not the way to go. Honestly, it's always great to have an exit strategy, meaning that we hope for the best, but we're always prepared for the worst. And, when you have your ducks in a row like that, suddenly not so nervous or fearful about doing what you have to do. If you're a person that's more balanced with your logic and emotions, and you're making decisions out of your logic, suddenly your emotions aren't pulling you into the toxic situation due to things like a trauma bond, Stockholm syndrome, soul ties, and such. You're able to go with the flow of things and not against it. I mean, how many of you have run outside in nature? And that just means not in the gym on a treadmill, just outside on a windy day, and you run against the wind. Or the feeling of running uphill as opposed to going downhill. There's a difference here. Boy, there's a whole lot more resistance when you're running against that wind, isn't there? It slow your running time up, don't it? And that's what happens in real life, guys. So the person that's not in resistance, the person that's just willing to be honest and real. So that is what it's boiling down to. So if we have two people in resistance, two people that don't want to see the truth, then both of you are dragging it out, right? It's going to be the person that's willing to be real, be honest. And then sometimes it happens where both people are able to come to that conclusion, and then they both go ahead and accept that ending. And they're both already thinking it and knowing it. So that's how you stop being on that end of being dumped all the time. That's how you stop. All right, guys. So if this video resonates with you, go ahead and hit that like button. If you haven't done so, feel free to subscribe to my channel. And if you're having a hard time accepting endings, I do offer that one-on-one coaching, guys. Visit my website, lakiacrawford.com, and you can schedule your appointment with me. If you want an appointment time that is not listed on the site, all you have to do is inbox me or email CoachLakia@gmail.com. And I'll let you know if I can work that out with you. I have a support group over on Facebook for survivors of narcissistic abuse. Feel free to join in on that. The link is below in the description. Just scroll down, guys. I get a lot of inboxes. I don't see it. Go down in the description. Just keep going. Before you get to the bottom, you will certainly see it, and the link will be live. All you have to do is touch it. I do ask that you inbox me, though, and let me know that you're a survivor, because I do get a lot of random requests, guys, and I'm really trying to filter that to make sure that it's purely survivors on there. While you're on my website, lakia.crawford.com, you'll be able to see everything else that I have going on, the 4 therapeutic books that I've written. They're also available on Amazon and Barnes & Nobles. You can get the ebook or the hard copies. You'll see my Patreon, guys. That's a great way to support the work that I do. You can make a monthly donation by picking a membership tier, and you're going to get some great perks back for that. This is a great way to go for those of you who have been financially abused and you're looking for some discounts, okay? Other than that, guys, like I said, actually I've written a book about breakups, and that's the X Factor Volume 1. So if you search Lakia Crawford on Amazon, on Barnes & Noble, or you go to my website, you'll be able to find that. This book really helps put into perspective about endings, okay? So if you're struggling with that, I definitely recommend you read that book. And you know what? If YouTube videos are not enough, like I said, I do the one-on-one personal coaching. I do voice calls. I do Skypes, FaceTimes, email coaching, because writing is definitely very therapeutic. A lot of people like the email coaching. But with that being said, your life is not over. And oftentimes we really just need to have a shift in our perspectives, guys. And usually that is the major roadblock for us. But if we're willing to have a new perspective, we'll be doing a lot better. All right, guys. So thank you for tuning in. And what do I say at the end of all of my videos? Continue to do the work. Never give up on yourself. And until next time, please take care. Another reason why you could be the one getting dumped is they never plan to stick around. So, if you're going into situations long term with people who are using you as place fillers, who are seeing you as just something that's going to be short term, then yeah, you're going to be the one sticking it out and working on that. The same for someone that's not honorable, meaning, okay, you're in a marriage till death do us part, and you're trying to uphold those vows. You're trying to be sick through sickness and health, rich or poor. You're trying to maintain all of that, and you're with someone else who really didn't mean that. As soon as one little uncomfortable thing happened, as soon as you guys have to jump over one puddle, not even a mountain, not even a hurdle, okay, they're already trying to jump and bail, because they weren't built for that. They're only really there trying to be there through the good times and not the bad ones. And that can go for whether you're married or not. That person's making a commitment to you, but they're really only trying to ride that wavelength with you as long as everything is all good. And you may be that person, like, loyal to a fault. But here's the problem. Those kind of people that are loyal to a fault to others usually are very disloyal to themselves, meaning you're putting yourself in situations that are not to your best interest. And you're always thinking about that other person's best interest instead of your own. And that can be that problem. And that other person is, maybe more selfish minded, and you're being more selfless. But we have to have a balance here between the self-love and self-care that you have for yourself. There should be a happy medium there. It shouldn't just be this sacrificial lamb. It shouldn't just be only you give. It shouldn't, something has to balance out for what they're taking. There should be some type of deposits as well. because if we had a bank account that was only making withdrawals, we're going to be in a negative here eventually. We're going to be in a negative. And also, we have to be able to see other people's intentions. We have to be able to see their intentions. Because obviously, if they were just trying to use you, once they get that, they're done. They're dumping you. And yet again, your intentions were to have a real relationship, to have a real connection. And theirs wasn't. And that's why we have those situations. So we have to be able to see clearly. But that means we can't be blinded by our own desires, by our own hopes and wants. We can't be operating out of desperation either. Or else it's going to be blocking our vision from being able to be as objective as possible.